I just realized that this year will be 9 years. 9 years since my dad passed away. So crazy. I don't know if it will get better. I don't. You know, sometimes I say, yeah, you know, I just think of happiness with him. I just think of happy memories. But still right now, it's just pain. And it's primarily because my dad should still fucking be here. But he's not. You know, he died at the age of 48. He didn't die by suicide. But in some ways, it's kind of like he did, you know. He died by a heart attack at the age of 48. He was an alcoholic. But it was because he was living in silence his whole life. You know, I was abused as a child. I broke my silence after living in silence for 10 years. And once I broke my silence after my dad had passed away, I then found out that he was abused as a child too by his stepdad, my step-granddad. He lived his whole life in silence, you know, and we look at the statistics today, especially in the UK, they say that 1 in 6 boys, 1 in 4 girls were sexually abused as a child. 80 to 90% of those cases were by someone that they knew. Majority of them would be family members. But we don't talk about this shit because no one wants to put their hand up and say, yes, I was abused by my dad, by my uncle, by my sibling, by my mum, by my grandma. We don't want to say that shit because nobody's going to believe us, because that makes us weird, because that makes, you know, it's going to break up the family. The abuser's still alive. There's so many, we don't want people to look at us differently. There's so much shit with that. There's so much taboo heaviness attached to that we just stay living in silence. But the thing is that the silence kills. The silence takes everything away from us. It takes the family away. It takes the happiness away. It takes everything away from us. And it forces us down the direction of alcohol, down the direction of drugs, sex, gambling, coping mechanisms that inevitably at some point, you know, we're ticking on an early grave. We don't get to see our kids grow up. We don't, you know, my dad's not going to be at my wedding. He's not going to see my kids grow up, you know. But that's because of the silence, and that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm raising funds to get this movie made, because if I can get this movie made, it ends with me, and push that message out globally, then I just know, in the deepest of my soul, I just know that it's going to help people to break the silence before it's too late, so they don't go down the same path that my dad went down, and that I nearly went down. Yeah. We're going to do this. Us survivors together, we're going to do this.